have our First Take fam in the house today, and we are so excited. Thank you guys all for being here. Really, really appreciate it. It means a lot. We're going to have a lot of fun. Morning, gentlemen. How we doing?
Good morning. What's going on, big time?
It is great to be back in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes.
And by the way, the bad man known as Aaron Rodgers is on his way back to Phoenix, where he's going to have another bad time here pretty soon.
Not even a minute into the show, and you're already kissing up. This is what you do.
So much fun.
This is what you do. What's up, boss?
Yeah, way to go.
How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
All
We
right.
got to see a little vintage Aaron Rodgers yesterday, but we'll get into that. We have so much for you guys today. We're really excited. Two big guests coming up. So both sides are covered because we have former Clemson receiver, of course, with the Bills now, Sammy Watkins. He will join us. Looking forward to that. And Amari Cooper, of course, Bama, Stephen A's Roll Tide. He'll be with us a little later as well. So, gentlemen, as I just mentioned, we're going to get right into this first subject here. It was a defensive battle in frigid temperatures in Minnesota. They're the Vikings and the Packers, and it all came down to this kick. Blair Walsh shanking a 27-yarder. Seattle prevails. Stephen A., how lucky were your Seahawks?
Well, obviously, they were incredibly lucky. I mean, let's not act foolish here. We know they're lucky. That was a chip shot. That was a 27-yard field goal. They should have lost that game. There's no question about it. But I don't think it's a referendum on where the Seahawks are and what kind of team they are. Look, man, Arizona's a beautiful state, okay? I'm cold right now. All right,
Softest New Yorker I know.
Could you imagine how those guys were feeling? The temperature was -3 degrees to start the game. It went as low as -7. It was freezing out there, okay? And so, I mean, kicking the field goal was like, kicking a frozen turkey, for crying out loud. I get all of that, but nevertheless, Blair Walsh, you've got to make that field goal. Mm-hmm. You cannot miss that field goal. Coach Zimmer was absolutely right. It's a chip shot. It's less than an actual extra point is in today's game. There was absolutely no excuse for him to miss that shot. The fact that he missed that shot was disgraceful. If he was crying after the game, he should have been crying. He's lucky that his teammates didn't beat him down and throw him out the damn state. You can't miss that shot, considering all the hard work that you put in, just in OTAs, training camp, preseason, regular season. As a kicker, you have one job and one job only. Make the damn field goal. It's just that simple. And I was watching my man Michael Irvin on NFL Network last night, and this is what I appreciate about the playmaker, because while everybody was sitting up there, oh, I'm just so sorry, and it's really an unfortunate thing to do, and your heart goes out to him and you feel bad for him, Michael Irvin was like, that ain't me. I might have hit him. And I don't blame him, because that's exactly the emotion that I would have had. I'm not saying that you would have done it. I'm not saying that you advocate violence, but if there was ever a time to literally knock your teammate upside the head, that would have been it. I mean, the man blew the season. And so when we look at it from that perspective, I give the Seahawks credit despite everything that I just said, not just because they won the game, but also let's take into account the fact that we did this show Friday, Skip, and I picked Seattle to win as you did. We were under the impression Marshawn Lynch was going to play. And then after the show, that afternoon, we find out that not the Seahawks, Marshawn Lynch takes himself out of the equation, says he won't be able to play, didn't even travel with the team. Mm-hmm. That obviously left them in a significant pinch. And then when you look at the fact that Russell Westbrook doesn't have beast mode, and you have those frigid temperatures to deal with, the Legion of Boom stepped up. Adrian Peterson averaged 2 yards a carry, 23 carries, for just 45 yards. Didn't expect much from their passing game because Teddy Bridgewater, in my opinion, even though he played serviceably, wasn't necessarily ready. And then when you look at that and you combine the fact with the big play that Russell Wilson made, losing the snap, sliding on one knee, getting up, scrambling, and connecting with Lockett for his only reception of the game for 35 yards. I just give a lot of credit to Russell Wilson for finding a way, but obviously Seattle's defense stepped up. In the end, however, luck supersedes everything else, because the Seattle Seahawks should be home right now. They're not, because Minnesota, as my man Skip alluded to on Twitter last night. What is it, the Blair Witch Project or something like that? Something you said about it.
It was the Blair Witch Project.
It was the Blair Witch Project.
Yep.
That's what
you
ended
saw it
up
right
happening.
before your very eyes.
That's what Skip said on Twitter
You read
last
my
night.
Twitter. I like that. I didn't know that.
I do occasionally, but I got on you about Twitter.
He called you out on
because I don't
Twitter.
appreciate you.
I don't follow him.
Excuse me. Well, that's fine.
He doesn't follow anyone anymore.
Well, first of all, he doesn't have to follow me. I'm in his face every day. That's number one. But number two, and more importantly, when you sit up there and tweet me, you don't just say Stephen A. You put the @ symbol too. But that's all.
I don't need to at you. I get at you every day, right here, right.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
See what I did?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
When you don't talk, when you don't.
Oh, stop it. Oh, stop.
All right. When you don't put the @ symbol, then all my followers don't see you coming
I got
at
it.
me.
And
So
you
get it
got
together.
more followers than I do. You got your radio show. And by the way, you watch NFL Network. I only watch ESPN. Silly me. I only watch ESPN. I never
Such a
watch
company
NFL
man.
Network.
I love my company. I'm proud to be working for this company, but I watch everything.
All right. Now back to Molly's question. You mentioned this was not a referendum on your team that you picked to win this year's Super Bowl.
That's right.
I think it was. I think you would agree with me. Seattle should have lost that football game. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Thank you. Seattle should have lost its sixth fourth quarter lead of the season. That would have been number 6 that they have blown because the Legion of Boom gets doomed in a lot of fourth quarters. And by the way, it could have been 7 because I remind you of that Monday night game back at the end zone. Ref missed the call against Detroit. They survived that game. So that could have been 7 blown fourth quarter leads. That is a bad sign for your Seahawks. They're not going to get out of Charlotte, North Carolina alive coming up. Okay.
You're really stepping out on a limb there, but
I just don't think they will. I think Cam's going to torch him in another fourth quarter because I don't know what's happened to him, but your man Cam Chancellor was on the hook.
Yes.
Now he was nearly the hero of the game because he did strip Adrian Peterson and set up the go-ahead field goal, the 10-9 field goal.
Yep.
Give him big credit for that because this man can make some. In fact, that Detroit play I talked about, he was the one who stripped that ball from Calvin Johnson and went to the back of the end zone. So my point is, Cam Chancellor then got torched. He gave up the pass interference call. Then, obviously, Kyle Rudolph gets free, catches the ball. He missed the tackle. And all of a sudden, chip, shot, field goal. So here we are. I got to say this, and I don't want to dwell on it, but what have I told you for years about how much I hate field goal kicking? I'm fine with punting in football. I hate field goal kicking because at the end of the game, this little dude runs onto the field who has nothing really to do with the game of football. Can he play football? Is he a football player? Not in my book. I'm sorry, Jay Feely. I know Jay used to play here in Arizona, still lives here in Arizona. We've gone around and around about this, but little Blair Witch Project, Blair Walsh, he's not a football player, and he trots onto the field, and you never know when they're going to go south mentally. I don't know what it is about this species of quote-unquote subspecies of football player, but all of a sudden he trots out there. He's made the first 3 that he's kicked in this game. He made the most field goals in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
In the NFL this year, from 27 yards or closer, 189 out of 191 had been made. So 99% had been made from that distance. And he didn't even sniff the left upright. That's what killed me. It didn't even come close. At least if it had bounced off the left upright, you'd say, he just missed it a little bit. He smother hooked it right off his foot. If anybody who knows golf would say, that's as big a snap hook as you will ever see off the tee because he got so quick. Now, I'm going to give maybe Richard Sherman some credit here because Richard Sherman had come within an eyelash of blocking the previous kick. Maybe, just maybe, Blair Walsh had it in his psyche that he had to be a little quicker, and he got a little too quick, and as they say in golf, he closed his club face so fast that he just snap hooked it off his foot. That could have happened. By the way, when I saw Blair Walsh after the game being interviewed by his locker, his nose was so red and his ears were so red, it looked like he suffered frostbite out there. Which you can do.
Did.
Maybe he had frostbite. I don't know what happened.
I don't care what the hell he had.
He's a kicker.
Right.
You never know what a kicker is going to do. And so the guy, they got kicked in the stomach in Minnesota. You remember the game in 1998 where Gary Anderson had made every kick the whole year. Then in overtime against Atlanta, one step from the Super Bowl, he missed a kick. So it's just going to happen. But in the end, it showed me once more that your Seahawks are somehow flawed in their secondary. The secondary is the strength of the team, but when it comes time to slam the door shut on somebody, I just showed you, it could have been 7 times this year. They can't slam the door. I don't get what's wrong because they make so many great plays. And you pointed out, they just shut Adrian Peterson. They took him out of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just embarrassing. He had 2 terrible games this year, both at the hands of the Seattle Seahawks. I give them that. Their front 7 is extraordinary, but somehow under pressure in the clutch, they're not making plays this year. I don't know why.
Well,
is it Super Bowl hangover from last year?
It's a combination of a couple of things. Number one, they did lose some bodies over the last couple of years from that original Legion of Boom squad 2 years ago that won the Super Bowl. Me, Bain, and all of those boys.
Sure.
People like that, number one. Number two, you have to take into consideration the fact that you may not be getting to the quarterback with the speed that you once did, which obviously puts more pressure on their secondary to defend a bit longer. Number three, the secondary seemed to be doing well. Cam Chancellor had his problems. I actually thought that was a questionable pass interference call against him, but on the very next play, you can't go for the strip or the block, trying to interrupt the pass to Kyle Rudolph. You just got to sit up there and focus on hitting him the second the ball comes in his direction. He made a mistake that way. As a result, Kyle Rudolph got loose, scampered for 24 yards, and put them in position to kick the game-winning field goal. That Blair Witch, I say Blair Witch.
He is.
That's
Blair
what we call him now, Blair Witch.
Yeah.
That he blew. In the end, though, I think when you look at it, here's the reality. I can't hold anything against anybody but the kicker because the game was every bit as tight as it should have been. Man, -7 degrees. I mean, come on, man. Listen, I hate to go this route, but you're a human being. Now, I don't. First of all, Minnesota's got some issues. I don't know why the hell old Bud Grant, the former head coach for the Minnesota Vikings, was out there in a short sleeve shirt.
Well,
I don't get all of that. I don't understand that.
Well, he said, Greg Aiello of the NFL tweeted that Bud said on the sideline, "Here, hold my coat. I want to show these people that are watching on television that this is how we deal with the cold in Minneapolis."
I understand that. Okay. Well, you know what? I would have rethought that. Maybe he shouldn't have done that because his field goal kicker might have snuck inside the locker room and warmed his feet up just a little bit before that last field goal kick. I'm just saying, everybody ain't Bud Grant. They can't handle it. They can't handle it. Okay. So that's what that comes down to. I'm just looking at it from the perspective. When you look at Minnesota and Seattle, I don't think yesterday's game should be any kind of referendum on either squad because to me, the weather conditions were that frigid. It's hard to deal with, okay? I remember, and I go back to the Skip, and you'll remember this. Remember the years of Air Coryell and Dan Fouts and that high-powered San Diego Chargers offense. I remember when they had an AFC championship game with Kenny Anderson as the quarterback and Sam White as the coach. They had an AFC championship game, and San Diego was with their high-powered offense with Dan Fouts, Chuck Muncie, Charlie Joyner, Kellen Winslow, all of these boys.
I know it well.
They were completely neutralized because it was so damn cold. Yeah. It's something about the cold, man. Yeah. It's something about the cold. Listen.
I told you, my Dallas Cowboys lost the NFL championship game in 1967 because they had to play in the ice bowl.
I can't hold anything against most, ordinary football players under those frigid conditions. The reason why I can do that to a kicker is because that is your only job.
I agree.
It's your only
maybe his foot's
job.
numb, guys. Be nice.
So what?
Maybe his foot was numb.
Who cares?
Frostbite.
Who cares?
Be
That's
nice.
a personal issue.
On. Do you know how he feels right now?
I'm sorry. Is your foot going to be so bad? If your feet are bad, your hands should be bad too, right? But you're still going to go cut that check. Go cash that check, ain't you? You got a job. Figure it out, okay? The brother would say, I don't care. Now, the other dude, if the field goal kicker snuck in, let's say, for example, he lied. He could have come out with a lie. I got to go to the bathroom. And just stay there extra 20 minutes or something. Anything to be out of the cold, just to be away from it so you can thaw out. You could do something. The rest of the team couldn't do that because they're playing. But you're behind and sitting on the sidelines waiting to kick. You know what? You see these right here? These are not just for your hands, your feet. He could have loaded up on a bunch of these. Do you understand? He could have figured something out to keep himself warm. I don't want to hear anything. I want to hear any excuses. And thank goodness he didn't give any. But in the end, he cost them. Seattle should have lost. They were lucky to get to our point, no question. But under no circumstances do I blame them for the situation that existed. It was so damn cold. There's no way Minnesota holds Seattle to 10 points.
Okay, but that's why they call it home field advantage. That's what you want in the regular season.
And that's why they're getting a dome to move into next year, ain't they?
They are. And I will concede this much. I would have preferred not having that game played in those conditions. At this high a level,
I agree.
as a wild card playoff game, I would rather see them play in good circumstances where you can actually measure the two strings of the two
more
teams.
neutral.
That's a big deal. That's a very big deal.
The silver lining, what I'm selfishly excited for, though, this sets up Seattle at Carolina, 105 Eastern, Bank of America Stadium. Carolina favored by 2.5 in that one. We can't wait. We'll see if the rematch is any different.
Keep in mind, Carolina loves to run the ball, and Seattle loves to stop it. Number one run defense in the NFL.
You know what I saw?